Today is the day. Edition number 6 of the KETL Mountain Treasure Hunt is launching. Greater Los Angeles area, 10 jars, $1,000 cash, $500 gift card in every single one of them. $5,000 in gift cards, that's a lot, but I made it way harder. No coordinates this time, just video footage. You gotta watch the videos, you gotta navigate, you gotta figure out where these things are. It's gonna require you to run, ride, hike, swim, get on a boat, get your feet wet, spend the night outside, 4x4, probably see some snakes, get covered in poison oak, I don't know. That's the entire point. Hit the YouTubes for the full-length video and go find these things. It's gonna be epic. All right, how-to and FAQs for the Edition 6 treasure hunt. Well, there's no coordinates this time around because you maniacs have gotten all these jars way too fast when I give you the coordinates. So now you just have to follow the video footage and look at the little tips and clues that you can find on the KETL website for each jar. Every single jar has the same thing in it, $100 cash, $500 gift card. And some of them are much easier to get than others. Some you can definitely smoke in a daytime, and it probably won't really honestly be all that hard. Some of them are not that situation. They're gonna be physically demanding, navigationally demanding, and gonna require a lot out of you because, yeah, you might have to sleep outside. It might be a multi-day situation for a couple of these guys. Nonetheless, these are all gonna be a ton of fun. And yes, sometimes you can 4x4 to them, you can mountain bike to them, you can scramble rocks to them. All of them are taking you to desolate, beautiful places outside of the greater Los Angeles area that are frankly just epic and cool and interesting and unique. And that's the whole point of this thing, to reward the spontaneous and the adventurous. And this time around, also reward the persistent, the people who actually want to get out there and try this and put the effort into watching the videos, navigating accordingly, and yeah, it's a lot more challenging now than it ever was. So have a ton of fun. Questions, comments, concerns, shoot an email to treasure@ketlmountain.com, but I'm probably not going to give you much of any answers because that would be cheating for someone else who didn't ask that question. So figure it out. I bet it'll take maybe a week for these things to all get found, but I'll probably not tell my friends to go get them until 6 months. So you got time, but you also don't have time because a lot of other people are competing and they're going to try and get these things faster than you can. So that's all. Have a ton of fun, and here's your little disclaimer. Jar 1 is hidden in the Los Padres National Forest, in one of those places that will show you what happens when a trail gets trendy, but also what happens when you go beyond the popular spots. You begin not that far from towns, roads, oil history, and the old industrial scars hidden in these mountains. In a few corners, there are even still grandfathered in old oil operations quietly tucked into the landscape. Reminders that this place was not always and still isn't always treated like wilderness. And then, slowly, the farther you move up the canyon, the modern world starts to fade away. The beginning of this route can feel popular, even a little too popular. There are swimming holes, graffiti, day hikers, and the kind of easy access chaos that happens when a beautiful place sits a bit too close to a city. But that is not why this jar is here. The reason this jar is here is what happens when you keep going. Follow the creek deeper, push past the obvious spots, let the walls get tighter, the plants get thicker, and the canyons start doing what canyons do best, filtering out everyone who was only there for the easy stuff. This jar is just a little sample of the Los Padres. Water, rock, chaparral, old human history, and just enough effort to remind you that when you go past the majority of the footprints, you can find serenity. Jar 1 is one of the more approachable hunts in Edition 6. It is a day mission. It is not the hardest jar, it is not the most remote jar, but it sets the tone perfectly, because the treasure is not always just the jar. It is the moment when a place you thought you understood keeps going, gets better, gets quieter, and suddenly feels a whole lot more wild than it did at the start. Here we are, live for Jar 1, Edition 6, at Beautiful Creek, a hard-to-find spot. And I buried the jar in a pelican case underwater, under some rocks. It's a gray pelican case. I think you'll be able to find it. If you can get here, you'll find it. Jar 2 is the hardest jar in this entire treasure hunt. This is not a quick hike. This is the kind of mission where the warning signs start feeling less like suggestions. Don't do it. Turn back. Nope. And honestly, they might not be wrong.
Oh, that's cool.
And camp. This part of the Los Padres is where the map starts lying to you. Not literally, but close enough. The distance never looks that crazy on paper, then you get there and realize every mile has to be earned through water, overgrowth, endless rocks, and route finding that constantly makes you second guess yourself. The Chesapeake is one of the great wild drainage systems of Southern California. Within this wilderness, several waterways and canyon corridors remain remarkably undeveloped. And unlike so many waterways near cities, this one always feels raw and uncontrolled. This is what makes this place so special. It is not polished, it is not convenient, it is not built for casual traffic. Out here, water is the whole story. It carves the canyons, feeds the trees, creates the shade, and decides where animals, trails, camps, and people can actually move, albeit often with plenty of poison oak as well. The trail has just disappeared, so sometimes you just gotta follow the water. In dry Southern California mountains, a creek is not just scenery, it is a lifeline. And the farther you follow it, the more the place changes. The crowds disappear, the canyon tightens, the route gets slower, and eventually you start to understand why some of the most beautiful places in the Los Padres are also some of the least visited. Well, Jar 2 is not for the faint of heart, but it will be an epic adventure for anyone who dares to get out here. It's amazing. That is exactly right. This one is not for the faint of heart. This will be an overnight mission. Prepare accordingly and it will be well worth it. The challenge is not just physical, it is navigational. Saying the trail can fade is an understatement. This will teach you how topography and remoteness can make certain trails completely disappear even when they are clearly on a map. Jar 2, hell of an adventure. Way more of an adventure than Jar 1. Some of these are going to be more adventurous and insane, and some will be a little bit more mellow. Well, mellow is... take that with a grain of salt, I guess. Jar 2 was hidden here because this is one of those rare Southern California places that still feels genuinely remote. The Chesapeake Wilderness was created to protect this kind of stuff. Steep canyons, creek corridors, condor habitat, and rugged backcountry that has not been softened for easy access. That matters, because not every beautiful place should be easy to reach. Some places should require commitment, some places should make you slow down, think clearly, and pay attention to every bend in the canyon. If you go for this jar, please take it seriously. Bring overnight gear, bring multiple forms of navigation, bring enough food, check conditions, know your exit, know when to turn back, and do not assume the way in will be the same as the way out. This is undoubtedly the biggest adventure in Edition 6, so of course it was my personal favorite. And if you find this jar, I will know you did not get lucky. I will know you put in the work and went through the struggle, probably got a ton of poison oak, and that you truly earned it. Jar 2, Edition 6. This is gnarly. This is proper backcountry. If you get this, you're going to be really proud of yourself. It's going to be a hell of an achievement. Here are all of your visual clues. Take note of this, the creek, and of course this interesting looking log. And there's your jar. Tucked right in there. Jar 3 is the last one in the Los Padres, but changes the pace. Instead of fighting your way through a creek corridor, this one is more about the long, winding approach into remote backcountry. The roads out here twist through ridges, valleys, chaparral, and oak woodland. They feel forgotten in the best possible way. The kind of roads where you stop seeing traffic and start wondering how many people actually come out here with no reason other than curiosity. This jar is not the most physically brutal. Compared to some of the others, the movement is on the easier side. But do not confuse easier with obvious. The challenge here is orientation. You are in a place of ridges, turns, drainages, and repeating shapes. Everything starts to look familiar, and then suddenly nothing does. That is why I liked this spot. It has that classic backcountry feeling where the landscape opens up and you can see in every direction. A 360-degree reminder that the Los Padres is not one canyon, one trail, or one famous swimming hole. It is a massive, layered mountain system full of roads, ridges, viewpoints, and strange little corners most people will never bother to visit. Jar 3 is not about suffering, it is about paying attention. Jar 3, Edition 6, it's going to be buried right there in these rocks. This is much easier to get to than Jar 2, which is pretty grueling. This one's just got some tricky navigation and some unbelievable panoramic views of the Los Padres. Jar 4 leaves the mainland entirely. For this one, the adventure starts before your feet ever hit the ground. You've got roughly 20 miles of Pacific Ocean to cross first. These islands sit close enough to Southern California that you can see them on any given clear day. But once you are out here, they feel like they are a completely different world. That isolation is the whole magic of this place. These islands hold rare plants, unique animals, sea caves, cliffs, and thousands of years of Chumash history. They were connected to the mainland by people who understood the ocean long before modern boats made the crossing feel routine. Later, other communities left their mark here too. Chinese fishermen worked these waters and established camps along the coast, traces of history that still lingers in the landscape today. Out here, the scale changes. The city completely disappears, the water becomes the boundary, the cliffs rise straight out of the Pacific, the wind, the fog, the birds, the kelp beds, the caves, and the silence all start doing the talking. I chose this location not just because it's an astonishing place, but because logistically and navigationally, I am confident it will scare away just about everyone. You have to deal with the ocean, the schedule, the exposure, and the fact that when you are out here, you are not really in Los Angeles anymore at all. You are in one of the most unique landscapes in California. Jar 4, Edition 6, somewhere out here in the Channel Islands, up a beautiful canyon. This will probably be the last one to be found, likely the hardest to get. And of course, I'm going to bury it in this cute little treasure chest. There's your $100 bill and your $500 gift card. Good luck. This is the best one. Jar 5 is the most personal one for me. This one is hidden in the Santa Monica Mountains, the mountain range I grew up right next to. And the older I get, the more I realize how special these mountains actually are. Most people think of the Santa Monicas as the hills behind Malibu, or the backdrop behind the city, or just a place to get in a quick hike when the traffic is not terrible. But the western edge of this range is a different thing. It gets rockier, steeper, rougher, and more dramatic. This is where the Santa Monicas feel less like backyard hills and more like a proper mountain range that happens to sit right above the Pacific Ocean. This area has some of the most rugged terrain in the entire range. The highest point in the Santa Monicas is out here. Boney Mountain dominates the skyline. The rock formations get stranger, the trails get more interesting, and the whole place feels like it was built for scrambling, exploring, and crawling into the weird little pockets between the boulders. You get chaparral, oak pockets, sandstone, volcanic rock, caves, cliffs, ocean air, inland heat, and trails that can feel casual one minute and surprisingly rugged the next. These mountains have been shaped by a long human story. Indigenous people lived across this region long before it became parkland. Later came explorers, ranchers, homesteaders, movie crews, firefighters, hikers, climbers, and everyone else who found a reason to come into these hills. And somehow, even with Los Angeles pressing against them from every side, the Santa Monicas still hold secrets. That is why this jar had to be here, because the location is not just a viewpoint. It is tucked literally into the rocks themselves. The kind of place where you have to use your hands, duck into shade, scramble down, and let your eyes adjust. This jar is hidden in the dark, tucked away amongst piles of rock that were formed beneath ancient seas millions of years ago. Familiar from a distance, but much stranger once you get inside of them. You can drive past them 1,000 times and never know what is tucked between the folds. You can look at a ridge from the freeway and have no idea that somewhere up there are caves, rock rooms, scrambling lines, old trails, animal tracks, and pockets of silence that feel almost impossible for being this close to one of the biggest cities in the country. Jar 5 is not the longest mission. It is not the hardest, but it might be the one that best captures what this whole treasure hunt is about. Go beyond the obvious, look for the cooler trails, look closer, crawl into the weird little places. That is usually where the good stuff is. All right, here's the deal with Jar 5. A little bit of cave splunking, but nothing too insane. Once you Spider-Man your way down here, be careful. It's a little bit of a rock climber move, but you can do it. You're gonna go into this entrance to hell. So it looks like. You don't have to go too far, don't freak out. But you are gonna need to shimmy yourself down here. And then there's the jar. I'm gonna cover it in some rocks so nobody finds this. But yeah, a little cave splunking this time in the Santa Monica Mountains. Incredible stuff. There she is, Jar 5, right behind those rocks. Jar 6 will take you high into the San Gabriel Mountains, where Los Angeles starts to feel almost fake. This one is near 8,000 feet, and the rules up here are a bit different. No exceptions. From down in the city, the San Gabriels look like a wall. A backdrop behind freeways, neighborhoods, and smog. But once you climb high enough, the city drops away. Up here, you can look one direction and see the deserts to the north, then turn around and look back toward the City of Angels to the south. That contrast is insane. Desert on one side, megacity on the other, and in between, high alpine air, pine trees, old roads, and mountains that get closed, washed out, snowed in, burned, repaired, and reopened over and over again. The San Gabriels are not soft mountains. Roads and canyons disappear from storms, fires reset entire hillsides, a place can feel accessible one year and completely blocked the next. Palmdale, Los Angeles. That's a pretty cool view. That is the magic of this jar. It sits in the middle of that contradiction. High mountains, desert views, city proximity, old ski culture, damaged roads, and a feeling that you are standing on the roof of a place most people only know from below. Hidden in this high country is one of Southern California's strangest little mountain relics, an old school ski area sitting way above the noise, still carrying the feeling of a different era. A ski hill near Los Angeles almost feels like it should not exist, and it kind of barely does. And that is exactly why this jar belongs here. Jar 6, Edition 6, an amazing viewpoint, almost 8,000 feet elevation, Los Angeles, right over there. Here you go. Jar 7 gets closer to the city, but not really closer to civilization. That is one of the weird and, in my opinion, absolute best things about the San Gabriels. You can be geographically near millions of people and still be standing somewhere that feels like nobody has ever bothered to climb to. This one sits above 5,000 feet in a geographically curious place that made no sense to me on the map, which made me put in the effort to get there just to dig a hole and bury this jar. From a distance, the terrain can look almost impossible to make sense of. Ridges fold into ridges, rock features appear where you do not expect them, chaparral guards the empty spaces in the valleys, and somewhere nearby, named peaks rise out of wilderness that most people only see from a car window. This jar is about leaving the obvious line, not recklessly, not stupidly, but intentionally. There are places in the San Gabriels where you can feel the pressure of the city below and still find yourself in a pocket of terrain where the ground looks absolutely untouched. The route is not obvious, and the reward is a view almost nobody earns. That is why this jar is here. It is not about distance. It is about noticing that the wildest places are not always the farthest away. Sometimes they are just off the common paths and require a bit more effort and navigation than most people are ever willing to put in. Jar 7, Edition 6, you're gonna have to get stabbed by a bunch of yuccas in the leg. You're gonna have to dig for it. It's buried right there, only about a foot down or so. This is the coolest, strange geological situation here. Yeah, what an amazing place to go to. There are 0 human footprints that come here and a whole lot of animal footprints, so have a good time. Jar 8 starts with one of the great lines through the American West, the Pacific Crest Trail. The PCT runs from Mexico to Canada, crossing deserts, mountains, forests, national parks, and wilderness. For thru hikers, it is a months-long transformation. For everyone else, it can just be a beautiful stretch of trail on a quiet day. This jar uses the PCT in that second way. A peaceful walk, a clean line through the mountains, a little bit of time moving the same direction as people who may be walking all the way to Canada. But then, like all good treasure hunts, it leaves the obvious. The trail gets you close, the last part requires much more attention. This one is not meant to destroy you. It is not a suffering contest. It is a reminder that a simple walk can still turn into a little puzzle if you know when to look up, look around, and start reading the terrain. The reward is a quiet view toward the desert. And that is one of my favorite things about this part of Southern California. You are never just in one landscape. You are always on the edge of another. Mountains giving way to desert, forest giving way to scrub, trail giving way to open space. Jar 8 lives right in that transition. Jar number 8, Edition 6, will be sitting here peacefully in a nice serene little spot right off the Pacific Crest Trail. You gotta scramble some rocks to get here, but that's not that hard. Just be careful. Jar 9 is for all of you with 4x4s that never actually use the four-wheel drive. I know you're out there. This one heads into one of the lesser-known off-highway vehicle areas outside LA, in the Angeles National Forest. It is dusty, rocky, exposed, and built for a different kind of adventure than the other jars. Instead of putting one foot in front of the other for miles, this one is about crawling your way deeper into the mountains, getting the tires dirty, and remembering that some roads are only roads in the loosest possible sense. There is something undeniably fun about this kind of terrain. Rock formations, ridge lines, loose dirt, steep little climbs, wide open views. The kind of place where your vehicle becomes part of the mission, but still does not do the whole job for you. Because even here, the jar is not just sitting in the parking lot. You still have to get out, you still have to look around, you still have to connect what you saw on screen with what the landscape is actually showing you. Jar 9 exists because some of life's treasures that feel like an adventure can still be had while sitting on a leather seat in air conditioning. Jar number 9, edition 6, is for all of you that have a 4x4 that never really use it and don't get it dirty very often. It's a beautiful area. San Gabriel's, LA right over there. Awesome OHV area that's a bit lesser known and a ton of fun. Come get this thing. Jar 10 ends this hunt in one of the most iconic rock landscapes near LA. These are the kind of rocks that look invented. Huge angled slabs tilted out of the earth that feel almost too cinematic and out of place to be real. Which is probably why Hollywood has used this place again and again. Westerns, sci-fi, alien planets, outlaw country. If these rocks look familiar, there is a good chance you have seen them before, even if you did not know what they were. But the story here is older and stranger than the movies. Before film crews showed up, people moved through this landscape. Indigenous communities lived here centuries before the little town of Agua Dulce existed. Travelers used these formations as landmarks, and later the rocks became tied to the legend of a California bandit whose name still hangs over the area. That is the perfect place to end this treasure hunt, because this landscape already feels like a clue. The Pacific Crest Trail passes right through this world of stone, carrying hikers through a place layered with geology, film history, indigenous history, outlaw legend, and desert edge weirdness. And this jar adds one more small relic to that pile. A tunnel most people do not even know exists. A passage hiding in plain sight you've likely driven over without ever even noticing. A final reminder that even in a place famous enough to be filmed 1,000 times, there are still and always details most people miss. Los Angeles is not just a city. It is islands, deserts, mountains, rivers, canyons, old roads, ski hills, caves, creek corridors, hidden tunnels, and strange little corners waiting for someone curious enough to go find them. There it is, jar number 10, the last one of edition 6 in the greater Los Angeles area. $100 cash, $500 gift card will be buried in this peaceful little spot right off the Pacific Crest Trail that will take you through some pretty cool stuff to get here. And wow, that's the last jar. It's always a little bit strange for me to put the last jar down for these treasure hunts because it takes a lot of work to put all these things out, but it's a ton of fun and I hope you guys enjoy getting these things. 10 jars, 10 places. If you find one, you earned it. Good luck.